Welcome back, folks. Welcome back to the Crisis Report. We've got a lot going on tonight. We have a wave of political, economic, and geopolitical shocks that are going all over the globe right now. The U.S. public trust is fraying. Thousands of Americans are threatening to refuse to pay their taxes because of the revelations that are going on in Minnesota and federal payment freezes. And of course, over the pond, we've got tensions rising. Colombia's president claims that America has conducted strikes inside Venezuela and that the CIA's role has been publicly put out there, disputed. But Venezuela is deploying forces to protect key infrastructure and oil because they see it happening again. Iran, violent unrest. Security forces have opened fire on protesters. China is intensifying military pressure on Taiwan. Record-breaking air and naval incursions. Markets are flashing mixed signals. Silver and palladium are sliding. Copper is surging. And stocks have hit historic valuation extremes because, well, labor market indicators are weakening. We have an expansion of the surveillance and cyber war preparations in Europe. There are drone strikes in Russia, and there are global energy disruptions underscoring a world that is going into heightened instability. This is your crisis report for December 30th, 2026. We appreciate you being here, friends. Hit that like button, do the subscribe thing, darken out the bell, and we're going to get started here. You can find this all on Substack. There are other links in the description. Perhaps you would fancy becoming a member here. Like many of the people, we have a wonderful membership group here, all nice. It helps support the cause. And of course, you can become a member on Substack, or you can join us on Subscribestar or Locals. Let's get started on your crisis report. More Venezuela strikes coming, ? We're going to find out. Here we go. Oh, I got to bring it on over. Oh, there we go. Yep, we got it. All right, good. Here we go. Thousands of Americans say they will refuse to pay their taxes this year following revelations of large-scale scams in Minnesota. Colombian President Gustavo Petro says that President Trump has begun bombing targets inside Venezuela with land-based strikes. Venezuela currency has closed the year at 301 bolivars to the dollar, depreciating 83% year on year. U.S. Deputy Secretary of Health and Human Services Jim O'Neill says they've frozen all child care payments to Minnesota amid serious allegations that the state funneled millions of taxpayer dollars to fraudulent daycares across Minnesota over the past decade. They're starting to go into other places. I've seen reports in Washington, Columbus, other places. They are starting to take a deep dive into what's going on with all this. Spot palladium has fallen over 7%. It is now sub $1,500 an ounce at $14.97. Spot silver has also fallen over 3%. It is at $73.66. Let's take a look at what it is right now. It is currently at $70.51. It is now down almost 10%. So you may do with that information as you will. Iranian regime's security forces opened fire on protesters in Asadabad, Hamadan province. Per local sources to us, gatherings of protesters went to a local police station to free detained protesters, stormed the police station number 11, prompted fights inside the place, in which police officers opened fire on the protesters to try to disperse the crowds. All right, now on these supposed strikes. Petro of Colombia officially acknowledged United States bombed the ELN factory in Maracaibo, Venezuela, contradicting Nicolas Maduro. Quote, turns out that many boats attacked with missiles happening in the seizures we carry out in Colombia with or without outside Colombia we're not carrying the white fun stuff, but the herb, the lettuce, the wacky tobacco. Paradoxical problem. In the U.S., in many places, it's legal Colombian Congress should not have allowed its illegality. We also lost by 1 vote. He goes in and talks about this. This is a long post by him, but he goes in and talks about ELN and Catatumbo, 33rd Front, decide whether they are going to compete for coca or for peace. Only about 5% of the cocaine produced in Colombia passes through there. This goes all over the place. It's a very, very, very long post by Mr. Petro. I mean, he's just saying, he says this. He goes, I don't know whether Maduro has illegitimately taken wealth from Venezuela in our country. There's no evidence of drug trafficking on his part. Generals we proved were negotiating cocaine were in sedition with the support of the Colombian government, seeking a coup in Caracas. But by now, professional investigations in the U.S. should have verified that neither I nor close relatives have assets outside the country or in Colombia, other than my home, which I'm still in debt. Even the New York Times has already published a journalistic article saying that they have found no evidence against me to keep me on the OFAC list. He says, what a mess. Last conversation with Maduro was about how to jointly strike the ELN on the border. I'm a free man, always will be. I don't care about greed. So, talks about all over the place. You know, it's there's a lot going on with this, but he basically says that ELN factory in Maracaibo, Venezuela was struck, and Maduro is trying to play it off as if it's nothing, but something's going on. CIA officials were reportedly upset that Trump publicized an operation in Venezuela that is normally kept covert or at least not openly linked to the U.S. government, according to current and former officials. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio held a call with UAE Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed to discuss Yemen and regional security. If you saw the earlier post today, we talked about how UAE and Saudi Arabia were having some problems with Yemen on the Eastern Front. It is more of a kind of, we use proxies, we don't actually want to go to war with each other kind of thing. It's not like they're going to break out in a war between the UAE and Saudi Arabia, but Eastern Yemen has a lot of oil. So whoever controls that, if you will. And they want to create this state called South Arabia. UAE is a patchwork of Emiratis. That's why they call it the United Arab Emirates. And then, of course, you've got Saudi Arabia, which is the kingdom. And it's, you know, I mean, it's got geopolitical implications, but it's more of just kind of a desire for more oil, you know, and who's got the bigger stick when it comes to the Islamic, nations and kingdoms down there. FANB announces special deployment to guard oil complexes in Zulia and Falcon. FANB assured that it is monitoring the Ana Maria Campos petrochemical complex in the state of Zulia, the Pataguana refining center in Falcon, and contacts the tension over the U.S. aero-naval deployment in the Caribbean Sea. Head of the Western Strategic Integrated Defense Region, or READY, Pedro Gonzalez Obales, indicated that a rapid reaction unit, or URA, remains deployed to guarantee the integral security of the complex and the refinery, according to a video shared this Tuesday by FANB Strategic Commander Domingo Hernandez Lares. Translation, folks. The strike has happened. One, they're anticipating more. Trump has done as usual, where he cryptically dropped it in this random podcast or something, or presser. And here we are, we're on the precipice of more strikes possibly occurring. Who knows? Ben Shapiro is losing an average of 1,000 subscribers on YouTube daily, having lost 30,000 in the past 30 days. Republicans are increasingly alienated by his unwavering pro-Israeli rhetoric, penchant for equating skepticism of that country with anti-Semitism. Shapiro most recently met with boos after delivering a speech at TPUSA's AmFest in which he accused colleagues Bannon, Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens of peddling conspiracism and anti-Semitism. Over the past 48 hours, China surrounded Taiwan and executed large-scale live-fire military exercises featuring simulated decapitation strikes and the seizure of key ports. It is a new style blockade. The operational scope is no longer limited in symbolic, isolated shows of force, but has evolved into a coordinated and interconnected blockade network, practicing the tactics to choke off the island's vital supply lines, official PLA press account stated bluntly, with a potential day 3 on the horizon. He's got everything you need that you missed, and that's Ian Ellis on X. You come over to the Substack, click it, find it, follow it, whatever. Bella One, it's been reported the last few days, that it's been evading the U.S. Navy. And some people are questioning why. Well, here's kind of a deep dive into what's going on and why this is ongoing. So why is it that 300,000 tanker with a 300,000 tanker with a top speed of about 15 knots able to evade the United States? 2 previous takedowns, Skipper and Centuries, were off the coast of Venezuela. Bulk of the U.S. military force is located. Bella One did not approach the coast of Venezuela and appears to have U-turned in the Atlantic, meaning that the U.S. would have to dispatch ships to pursue. Not just a matter of any ship, but to conduct this boarding, they would need Coast Guard personnel included, since it is a commercial ship, and they would need multiple helicopters. Also, it's the North Atlantic in winter, and the weather sucks. If they did not have the personnel or helicopters, then they would shift to surveillance and monitoring and follow the ship until more resources can be brought to bear. Imagine OJ Chase, but with him in a tractor trailer being pursued by a single cop car. Focus of the military mission is to watch the other tankers in Venezuela and to prevent any further sanctioned ships from entering Venezuela. Does this make the U.S. military look good? No. It would help if Secretary of War and Secretary Nome, U.S. Navy Southcom, would give a briefing and provide details and rules of engagement beyond the occasional tweet. So there you go. It's like OJ, he's in a tractor trailer and he's being chased by a cop car. Taiwan detected 207 Chinese PLA aircraft on day 1, plus 2 of exercise Justice Mission 2025, the largest 2-day total on the books. 125 sorties crossed the median line and entered Taiwan's Cadiz, in line with peak of 127 incursions during Joint Sword 2024. Israel has asked the Trump administration to exclude Turkish President Erdogan from the Planned Board of Peace, aiming to limit Turkey's role in Gaza. Israeli officials oppose Turkish troops and reconstruction involvement, fearing Ankara would gain influence in the Strip. Trump publicly praised Turkey and Erdogan, saying he trusts him, while a final decision on the board's makeup has not yet been made. Source close to French President Macron told Reuters there was no evidence to support Russia's claim that Ukraine attacked a residence belonging to Putin. Source said the allegation was unsubstantiated and accused Moscow of using false claims to justify continued military action and avoid taking steps toward ending the war. Ukraine has launched a new wave of drone attacks toward Russia and occupied territories. Germany's military now treats cyber attacks, sabotage, and disinformation as possible early acts of war. Operational Plan for Germany, or OPLAN, warns that hybrid attacks may be used to prepare a full military confrontation. As NATO's main logistics hub, Germany expects to be targeted early in any major conflict, including attacks on both military and civilian infrastructure. Ukrainian drones have reportedly struck an oil depot in Russia's Tuapse, with video footage showing fire at the site. China has managed a surprise recovery on its factory activity, ending an 8-month contraction, longest on record. However, consumer growth and investment have been slowing down. Industrial output was lower than expected, and the property sector was weakened further. Bloomberg highlights that there are a few signs of imminent new policy support since China is expected to reach its yearly growth target. Thailand has released 18 Cambodian soldiers who were captured during the clashes in late July, agreed upon in 72-hour ceasefire. This is the last year of the Federal Reserve note measured against silver. People's money is signaling a shift that goes back to the demonetization of 1873. While exiting on the surface for the silver community, it's disastrous for the majority of the world that don't recognize the signs of the times. More evidence of a weakening U.S. labor market. The quits rate in the private sector declined to 2% in October, lowest since the 2020 Rona, measures the proportion of private workers voluntarily quitting their job. At the same time, the total non-farm quits rate has probably done something not so hot, but you get the point. It is not a good time to be quitting your job. We'll just put it that way. Warner Brothers plans to reject the latest takeover from Paramount Skydance per Bloomberg. And markets are witnessing history. U.S. stock market cap to GDP ratio is up to a record 218%. Comes as the stock market's value jumped to an all-time high of $68 trillion, far exceeding the $31 trillion size of the U.S. economy. This ratio has surged plus 56 percentage points. Prices of basic necessities have been historic and seen a historic surge in the U.S. Since November 2019, motor vehicle insurance costs have soared 56.1%, largest increase of any major consumer category. Utility, gas service, and motor vehicle maintenance costs have all surged 48.8%, and I can definitely back that up with my own personal things that went on in 2025. Investors are betting the Treasury yields will fall. Open interest in the U.S. 10-year note March call options is up to a record 171,150 contracts. Contracts pay off if 10-year Treasury prices increase, which would simply lower yields. Number of open positions has surged. U.S. consumers are historically bullish on stocks. December, 52% of Americans expected high stock prices over the next 12 months. One of the highest readings since this question was first asked in 1987. Since April 2025, bullish sentiment has risen 15 points. And that, my friends, is your crisis report for December 30th, 2025. We'll do one tomorrow, but it'll probably be kind of a grand scheme one during the day at about 4 p.m. But we appreciate you being here. Please consider becoming a member. It is the greatest way to help the channel. Trying to give you good information, friends. Trying to just let you know what's going on in a way that you can strap on the earbuds, listen, and move forward. But more strikes in Venezuela? Yep, you bet. Asia got problems? Always. Economy kind of all over the place, with the richest 20% doing well and the bottom 80 sucking wind. Yeah, Definitely going on. All I can say, friends, is make sure that your 2026 is fruitful. Do all the things you can to position yourself for a rough 2027, but we'll get there when we get there. God bless you all. We are brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals. Check out the link in the description if you'd like to get in on their action for taking your IRA or 401k and turning it into gold and silver. And then, of course, you can become a member here or on Substack or on Subscribe Star Locals. Great ways to help the channel. Or you can just let a commercial play and just hang out with us from time to time. We love that too. Anyway, I hope your 2026 is fantastic. I hope you have a safe new year. God bless you all. We will see you on the next one.